Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, React and Chill. I'm Dika. So last time on Bleach, we had the conclusion to Mayuri versus Uryu, as Uryu put an end, well, not a permanent end, unfortunately, to Mayuri. We also found out the connection between Mayuri and how he essentially played a part in the death of Uryu's grandfather. We know that Uryu has a deep-seated hate for Soul Reapers, and one of the reasons for that was linked to the death of his grandfather. Now that unfortunately reinforces it after we found out how Mayuri was involved in that. We also found out a bit more about Uryu's background in terms of his reasoning behind why he wanted to be Quincy. So after that battle, he was on his way to continue, but unfortunately he ran into Captain Tozin, who unfortunately put him out really quickly. So at this point everyone's been captured. So we had Yoruichi taking Ichigo to go master his Bankai form of his Sanpakuto. So she was putting him through his paces to try and master the Bankai form, and she said that you're no way going to be able to go up against Byakuya in your current state. So he was currently in the Shikai form when he released Sengetsu. He was in the Shikai form, so now he needed to master the Bankai form, and no captain could become a captain without mastering the Bankai form. The only person that didn't apply to was Captain Kenpachi, and we know why that is. So Orihime was taken to Squad 11's barracks, and obviously she was in the presence of Kenpachi, and Kenpachi was also ready to fight Ichigo again after what happened last time. He was ready to go up against him, and he couldn't wait until Ichigo had finished. It was going to take 3 days. He had to take 3 days because the Yoruichi, the technique she used to bring out Zangetsu, it will only last about 3 days. So he had 3 days to master this technique. So everyone's essentially waiting for Ichigo now to master his Bankai form, and hopefully see what he could do to get Rukia back. So here we are now with episodes 46 and 47. Is that Renji?
I'm going now. I'll see you later, little Shiro.
Quit calling me Lil Shiro, and don't pat me on the head either.
Oh, that's Toshiro. I know they mentioned that when she said that. Oh, because he was essentially he was like, you should be calling him Captain, but I assumed that he was younger than her, but I didn't realize this was it, because she's in the academy at this point. I wonder how old, and he's Captain?
Forget that. Why would I go to some stupid Soul Reaper school?
Oh yeah, they were all, and that's
Right, now we're gonna be late to our first day at school.
Don't you blame this on me. What were you doing sleeping in a tree? I was looking everywhere for you.
You're now part of a proud tradition, a unique school dedicated to building the stealth forces in the 13 court guard squads.
In other words, welcome to the advanced class. Congratulations. Of course, this means that expectations for you are higher as well.
You will now demonstrate Hado. Begin.
Right.
Auto 33. Shako Red Flame Cannon.
oh wow. Wow, is that Momo's
That guy's pretty good.
rivalry, bro?
Guess now I know who my competition is in this class.
Group 3, to the line.
Hado 33! Shakaho Red Flame Cannon!
Oh.
You. Special instruction after class.
Yes, sir.
Oh.
You didn't have to be so rough.
Easy. Are you all right?
Yes, sir. Resting up, I see. Oh, it's you. I wouldn't mind joining you there. That okay? My whole arm is still numb. Well, I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean anything by it. Name's Izuru Kira. Hi. It's certainly a pleasure to meet you, fellow freshman.
Aw.
Oh, one of the court guard squad captains is supposed to be coming here any minute to review the class.
Ooh.
Really? A full captain?
I forgot for a second there, the families in the Soul Society, obviously there's the likelihood of you actually meeting somebody else that passed on is very slim, so they make family. So by the looks of it, Momo and Toshiro were a family, or they made a family together by the looks of it. Almost like how Renji and Rukia were like a family.
Are you guys having field training or something today?
Yeah, we're going to the world of the living for a practice fight against dummy hollows.
Oh.
I'm Shuhei Hisagi, 6th year.
I'm Kanisawa.
I'm Aoda.
Are they famous or something? How do you not know? The one in the middle. Everybody knows who he is.
It'd be Momo.
Excuse me. I'm your third.
Oh, it's you. Hello, Momo. Welcome aboard.
It's begun. Maintain barrier strength. Often the dummy hollows can't attract the real thing.
Oh my god.
Hado 33. Chakao Red Flame Cannon. Izuru. I missed it.
Yes.
That was even easier than we thought it'd be. It's all because we work together as a team.
Barrier unit
Oh,
acknowledged.
crap.
Barrier unit, can you hear me?
It was that
Report in at once.
You just wait till we get back and... What the hell?
It was that big one. That was the real then. Oh my god.
Oh god, no!
You never run on a... Oh, he's gonna get stabbed.
Oh god!
Why are they all running away? Someone has to stay and fight.
What is that? Ooh. Momo could sense it before it even appeared.
Bring it on!
Oh, nice.
We came back to save you, so you'll remember to forgive us!
Hado 33 Shako! Red Flame Cannon!
Nice.
How can such a gigantic hollow manage to sneak up on us like that? I don't know. I've already called the Soul Society and requested backup. Until then, we just have to stay alive.
Oh, this is bad. Like,
How can this be happening?
So many hollows.
maybe it was a setup? Goodness. Whoa. Is that Captain Aizen? Oh my god. No, Shinzo. Gin.
Sorry to keep you waiting. You've done very well.
You had me at the first head pat.
Slay them.
Shinzo. Yeah. Damn, his technique is crazy. Oof. Oh my god. I wonder what Aizen's attack is.
Excuse me, guard.
Yeah, what do you want?
When I first read the captain's letter, I couldn't believe my eyes. How could something like that possibly be true?
Oh.
Eat. If you can faint from hunger.
Oh, that's I keep calling her Rengoku. It's not Rengoku. I'm glad we're getting this flashback, because then we had that one scene of Gin and Rengiko in that flashback. They grew up in the slums together, I'm assuming.
Yes, just like you. My name is Gin. I'm pleased to meet you.
Yeah.
So you're finally awake. Better take a look around, idiot. You're in the office, not your room. Since you're awake, you can take over. Don't worry about it. You have a classmate who's fighting with your junior. That can't be easy for you.
There's been an incident at the prison that requires your immediate attention.
Yeah.
Sir,
I should have remembered that Momo is a master of Kaido. If we had been serious about wanting to restrain her, we would have made certain that we sealed her spiritual pressure. Because none of us actually believed she would ever take things this far. Rangiku,
Yes.
you're to go home.
Ooh.
I only hope I'm in time to save Momo.
Oh shit, like he knows she's on to Gin.
He's now able to maintain his stance, even when his sword breaks. Hurry, Ichigo. You're running out of time.
First and foremost, where did Zangetsu get those shades from? Give me late 90s vibes there. Is that gonna come back at him? Oh. What was he staring at it for?
Or take your eyes off the enemy.
Yeah.
That makes number 52.
He's absorbing it with amazing speed at an incredible level. Kisuke, you were absolutely right.
What purpose does it serve to have Rukia Kuchiki executed?
Oh, it finished.
Day 1 is over.
Oh, that was day 1? Oh. Oh, it's healing water.
What do I do if I drink it?
Oh, maybe it's...
Ichigo, how's the water? Everything all right? In fact, it sounds so good, I think I'll join you.
Are you nuts? No, don't come in. No.
Oh,
I don't know what you're getting so worked up about. Come on, be honest. You are, aren't you? You little pervert. I am going to drown you. It looks like the training room under Urahara's shop.
oh yeah.
You picked up on that, huh? Yeah. When Kisuke and I were kids, we needed a place to play. So we snuck off and built this place. It was our own little secret hideout.
Wow.
When we got older, he joined the 13th Court Guard Squad, and I joined the Stealth Force.
Ah, I knew it! He was part... Okay, so that ticks off one of them. Kisuke was part of the 13 Court Guard squads. He was at least on there. I still think he was a captain.
Wait a minute, Yoruichi. You mean you two used to... You scared the hell out of me! Can't you even cross your legs?
I always get the same reaction.
I want to know the truth about the guy who trained me.
All right then. He's the former captain of Squad 12 of the 13 Court Guard squads.
I knew it! So, but he was the former. So, Mayuri's the current captain of Squad 12. So, he was the former captain. I knew it! I knew it!
And served as its first chief.
Are you serious? I had no idea Mr. Hattenclogs was such a hotshot.
He conceived the Department of Research and Development. That's what Mayuri... Shit. Weren't the department known for really bad stuff? I can't remember. I know Mayuri's turned it into something else, but he was essentially... Mayuri took up over him, but now I want to know how Kisuke ended up in the real world. You better not do anything to him. I swear to God.
It's a good thing I arrived before Momo. I'll kill you before she gets here.
Ooh.
Momo, no!
I found you. I'm about to take revenge. For Captain Eisen.
What?
The captain wrote it all down. It's here in this letter.
The execution was contrived in order to steal a certain object. An object of great value. In that one blade lies the destructive power of a million Zanpakuto. The one who plotted this execution plans to use this power to destroy the Seirete. They intend to obliterate the entire Soul Society as well.
So when the Sokyo Cube pierces a person, it essentially absorbs all their energy. It basically that's why it's kept for captains and lieutenants, because they essentially... No, sorry, not even lieutenants, captains, because they essentially have the highest spiritual pressure, so it absorbs their spiritual pressure.
Toshiro Hitsugaya.
I've no choice but to confront him about this.
If I should die, then it's up to you. You must find a way to accomplish what I could not. Kill him and save the Seirete.
It's not true. Shit.
what you're saying. If he dies, he wants you to risk your life as well? Do you honestly believe Captain Eisen would say that?
I know, but the captain wrote it all in his letter. He did. And I know it was his handwriting. I recognized it. But it's true.
No, it's a setup.
I can't do it. I can't. I'm so confused.
Shit.
I can't reason with her. Someone must have forged it so that Momo and I would try to kill each other.
It's so Gin, and actually, sorry, yeah, that makes sense because Gin was Aizen's lieutenant for God knows how many years, so he would be doing all his paperwork, filling stuff in, just as we saw an example with Rengiku, which he was with Toshiro. But oh, did he? Did he laugh? I should be laughing. No, I think he had to knock her out just for a little bit. But no, that makes sense. It's obvious the letter was forged because we saw the episode before where Gin was his lieutenant. Gin being his lieutenant would have done his paperwork, would have seen stuff that he signed, obviously forged his handwriting.
So Eisen wasn't enough for you. You couldn't be happy until you'd hurt Momo as well.
Oh.
I gave you a warning.
Oh.
If you insist on drawing your sword, then I'm afraid you leave me no other choice than to stop you.
Hi everyone. So unfortunately I lost my outro, basically the end of that video, so I didn't have a wrap up for that. However, I did want to record it separately, so here I am. So those were really good episodes. So the first episode was again a flashback episode, and we got to see when Momo first came across or first met Captain Eisen for the first time. We also got a chance to see the background, not story, but almost the dynamic between herself, Renji, and Izuru. So I had a feeling, I knew that they must have come up the ranks together in the Soul Reaper Academy. But not just that, they were in a completely separate class to Rukia. All three of them were in the advanced class. And one of the perks from being in the advanced class is that they got to go into the world of the living. And that's one of the exercises they had. Prior to that, there was a point when one of the captains had arrived to oversee the training. That was Captain Eisen, and at that time, his lieutenant was Gin Ichimaru. Now, in the world of the living, they were going up against dummy hollows, and they were obviously training together, you could say. However, there was something had gone wrong. They did mention that when you are fighting the dummy hollows, it could essentially attract real ones, which it did. But there was something that one of the guys who went with them, we recognize as Shohei Hisagai. So he was a 6-year student at the time, but we do recognize him. He is one of they even mentioned in the episodes, he is actually one of the lieutenants, and I think it was for Captain Tozin. So he's his lieutenant. However, they did say that he's a 6-year student who's already going to be taken up he's going to be a ranking officer already by one of the 13 court guard squads. So he was already high stuff. So yes, he mentioned that they didn't even sense them upon us. Whereas Momo had a moment where she did sense one of the hollows. She sensed something was going wrong. When they thought the situation was desperate, Captain Eisen and Gin had turned up, and she was able to see him in action, where he disposed of the hollows, and obviously they basically showed them what's up. And so she was remembering that just before she escaped from her jail cell. And we get an inkling, as this moves on to the second episode, we get an inkling that she also reads the letter that Captain Eisen had left her. So as we go into the next episode, I didn't mention this in the reaction, but when I was going back and actually editing that reaction, I picked up on this. The episode opens up with Rangiku having a flashback, like having a dream, and essentially I think she This is back when she was growing up in the Soul Society. And there was another point I'll go on to. I like to go on to tangents. So she had met Gin. So Gin had introduced himself, and the one thing I didn't pick up on at the time was Gin said that if you're basically able to feel hunger, and the fact that her energy is depleted and she could feel that, she basically has the power. So it was the first time I think that was even mentioned. So you know how I was always wondering how they feel the phenomenon. I can't say that word, but the feeling of feeling hungry, or essentially when the energy drains. And little small Gin had mentioned that if that happens to you, it's basically it's the fact that it's only relevant in certain people. So it's like you've got the power, which I didn't at the time. I didn't think of, but when I was going back to edit that episode, I thought, oh wow, I didn't pick up on what Gin had said. And the second thing I do want to point out is a lot of, so far, apart from Byakuya, from all the captains and Soul Reapers that we've been introduced to / me had an idea of their backgrounds, a lot of the lieutenants, Gin and Rangiku, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, we did see in the previous episode that Momo and Toshiro, Momo and Toshiro had grown up together. Some of these lieutenants and captains, by the looks of it, had grown up literally from the slums. So that was a very interesting point. And again, I can't believe I missed that detail. So she was having a dream, and she woke up. She realized she was still in her captain's office. Isigaya, or Toshiro, had told her off, saying, you've been sleeping all day. But he could understand that it was both her classmate. He referred to Gin as her classmate. I'm assuming they did grow up together. And her kohai, her junior, Momo, she was in a rough, hard position. And I did mention before that because of essentially her past with Gin, she was not necessarily believing in or believed that he might have been capable of murdering Aizen. But by that point, Toshiro finds out that Momo escaped. He also finds out that Renji also escaped, and he also finds out that Izuru has also escaped. So all three of them have escaped. Momo's making her way over to the perpetrator, or person she feels or the person kind of called out in Aizen's letter that murdered him. And this worries Toshiro because he thinks she's going after Gin again, which therefore she's going to go get herself killed. So when he does finally catch up to her, he catches up to Gin first, Gin and Izuru, and he's about to face him. He basically wants to kill him before he does any harm. But Momo turns up, and then she starts blaming Toshiro. Why do I call him that? Toshiro. Why did you do this? Aizen blamed you, and he couldn't believe it. And a lot of the stuff he was saying was absolutely facts. Like, as your ex-captain, why would if he was up doing this, why would he expect you to do that? He would never go unarmed. That makes no sense whatsoever. So clearly, like he said, she was blinded by rage, and she was angry, she was hurt, there was a lot of stuff going on, so she couldn't see past her own pain. And obviously everything that was mentioned in that letter she took as word and facts. There was something which he mentioned, which I 100% agree, when he was in the midst of fighting Momo, Gin could have forged that letter because she mentioned that it was his penmanship, she knows it anywhere. And I love how it's funny how there's this letter that appeared. Gin, we found out from the previous episode that Gin was his lieutenant. And I do like the little sort of breadcrumbs they left us, because when Rangiku had woken up in Toshiro's office, he was like, I've done the paperwork, this is what you were meant to do. Which makes me realise that, yes, as being the lieutenant, he must do his captain's paperwork. He must always be around his documentation. So it's obvious that eventually he could also forge his writing, to write stuff like that. So Toshiro unfortunately had to smack, he had to get Momo to calm down, and I was laughing at the reaction. I don't mean to. It was just the way he smacked her, but he did the right thing because her emotions were literally just clouding her judgment. So Gin, being Gin, was goading him a little bit. However, Toshiro now had basically had enough, and he was about to step up and turn up, which I can't wait for this fight because for two reasons. One, once we saw that little bit of a glimpse of Toshiro and Momo's sort of background and how Toshiro was making fun of Momo for going to the Soul Reaper Academy and all this other stuff, Toshiro has become a captain. So I'm ready for this fight. We saw the so it's clear that Toshiro's abilities, he must have high abilities. His abilities must far surpass a lot of the people at the academy that are older than him. Because one, he's still quite young by the way Momo treats him, and two, for him to go up the ranks really quickly. And we saw how Gin went up against all those hollows. I mean, Shinzo, I did mention it in the reaction, Shinzo is a very formidable Sanpakuto and very versatile, and the reach is ridiculous. So I can't wait to see how these two captains go up against one another. The other thing I forgot to mention, so I'm going to rewind a little bit, was in the letter that Momo got. I don't know how true this is because of obviously the letter was forged. It did explain as to why Rukia's the mystery, you could say, surrounding Rukia's execution. Now, I've been saying from the beginning, loads of things have been happening regarding her execution, which seemed a bit off, such as how Byakuya basically didn't bat an eyelid that they were going to be sent for execution. He was like, that's fine, and he, considering they were family. Secondly, the details and things around her execution kept changing quite rapidly. She was moved. Her execution now was going to be oh, I forgot what the thing was called. Sokyoku. So the fact that a Sokyoku was used or was going to be used to execute her, and that was something that was only used for captains and above, or just captains, was again strange, because why would a ranking officer have a Sokyoku used at her execution? And so many things around that, which definitely not just piqued my interest, but there's a lot of suspicions around it. So in Aizen's letter, it mentioned how the perpetrator was going to use the fact that the Sokyoku, I'm assuming, firstly gets brought out the Sokyoku gets brought out at these occasions when captains are getting executed, but it apparently has the power of 1,000,000 Zanpakutos, and it also has a defensive power to block an equal amount of power. So it's a very powerful weapon, firstly. And secondly, when it's used to pierce whoever's executing, it absorbs their energy, therefore growing exponentially. So it just grows in power. And they were therefore going to use that to not just destroy the Serite, but destroy the Soul Society. So I don't know how true that is. That still seems, again, the only thing I can think of is Rukia's betrayal, and therefore death is not a good idea, but it's a good opportunity for the Sokyoku to be brought out. But why Rukia? Is it because she's part of the Kuchiki family? I'd assume that the Kuchiki family would vouch for one of their members a lot more strongly. This also goes back, way back, considering Rukia was not in the advanced class. So Rukia, I'm not saying she wasn't as skilled as, say, Renji or Izuru or Momo. However, Rukia was still chosen by the Kuchiki family to be part of their family, to be part of the ranking officers. Was this a plot all the way back then when she got adopted? I don't know. And lastly, I wonder if there's more people involved. I know just before Aizen died, Gin was spotted outside his room, and there was all of that mystery shrouding it. So I'm wondering if there's more to it. But on other note, a lot of things was confirmed, which I knew was the case. First and foremost, Ichigo is getting better with his training. He was able to use a certain Sanpakuto for like 5 minutes against Zangetsu, but we were able to finally find out something I always knew all along, which was Kisuke was in fact not just a captain, Kisuke was part of the 13 court card squads, but he was also a captain. He was captain of squad 12. He was also the man who founded the research and development department, the department that's currently being run by Mayuri. Now, I hope to think that Kisuke, it wasn't Kisuke that developed some of the deranged experiments. It's just that was all Mayuri, and he's the one who does all of that. But Kisuke was a captain. He also grew up with Yoruichi, which explains why he called her his best friend right at the beginning. And they grew up, and not just grew up together, but they came through the Soul Reaper Academy, where she became part of the Stealth Squad and he went into the 13 Court Guard squads, which is actually quite nice. So they're good friends. Now, another point I want to mention is when Yoruichi had turned up on the bridge about to fight Byakuya, Byakuya had mentioned she was in hiding for over 100 years or up to 100 years. I wonder if that was the same time, because Kisuke is currently in the, I said in the real world, I keep calling it something like that, but in the land of the living, Kisuke is there. I wonder if the time that Yoruichi disappeared or went into hiding was the same time Kisuke ended up in that world, because it's clear that he can't come back. So I want to know more about that and how he ended up there. So with Ichigo currently, it's the end of day 1 with his training, and he got the opportunity to talk to Yoruichi and find out a bit more. So Ichigo's guesses was just as good as mine. He assumed that he was a captain of some sort purely because of what he had noticed. The fact that he used to Sanbakuto, his powers and how he was fighting and things like that. The other thing I did mention, or I thought about during that reaction, was how, again, we saw Mr. Tessai, and again, Mr. Tessai, captain, I couldn't remember his name, but captain of squad 13, Ukitake, I don't know if they've seen Zangetsu before or they've seen Zangetsu's power before, but Ichigo's stance, the way he is familiar to them. This has been slowly been picked up by different people across the series so far, that they recognize either his fighting ability or they recognize something of him. First Mr. Tessai, when Ichigo emerged as a Soul Reaper for the first time and he had Zangetsu, his blade, and when on the bridge when Ichigo landed to save Rukia, Ukitake had sensed the presence. He was like, oh, he even had to ask Byakuya, is that who you think it is? So there's mystery surrounding that too. But I'm excited. Again, there's a good 2 episodes, which I definitely wanted to talk about, even though I did lose the original wrap up I did want to re-record it just so that I could get your thoughts down in the comments below. And as always, if you did like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe and comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time.